Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Matthew.
Glory to you, O Lord.
As Jesus passed, he saw a man called Matthew sitting at the tax office. He said to him, "Follow me." And he rose and followed him. And as he sat at table in the house, behold, many tax collectors and sinners came and sat down with Jesus and his disciples. And when the Pharisees saw this, they said to his disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" But when Jesus heard it, he said, "Those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy and not sacrifice, for I came not to call the righteous, but sinners." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Only those who are sick need physician, but we all are sick in some way or the other. Therefore, we all need Jesus, the greatest physician. My dear sisters, today we celebrate the feast of Saint Matthew, who was one of the 12 apostles. And as we know, he was a tax collector. And those days, the people did not like tax collectors because one thing, they were serving the Roman government. Also, they used to get more money from the people than what is legal, and they were swindling money. So, for these reasons, they did not like them. But somehow, Jesus has compassion towards them and he wants to befriend them and so on. On one such occasion, he calls Matthew, and that's the passage we read today. Probably Matthew must have heard about Jesus quite a lot before this particular encounter. But when Jesus called him, immediately he left everything and decided to follow. And of course, others didn't like that idea that Jesus was having food with the tax collectors, so-called sinners, and so on. Jesus makes a beautiful statement. Only those who are sick need physician. Very familiar statement. Does it mean there are some people who are not sick and they don't need physician? Now among us, how many of you are sick? How many of you are sick? Only 3, 4. Very healthy community. I think this community has a lot of immunity. That's why. You know, we are all sick in some way or the other, either physically or emotionally or spiritually. So there is no excuse for us to say, "Oh, I'm well, I don't need Jesus, I don't need the physician." Because physically also, we are all not at 100% perfect health. How do we know that? Very simple example, when we go for scan or blood test, they give the actual results of our body and the desired result. And the desired results also, they give only the range 7.5 to 10.5, and you are 8.5, therefore there is no problem. Doesn't mean you are perfectly okay. Because even physically, there is nothing called perfect health. Nobody is having the perfect health. The medical world also cannot determine what it is. That is why even a child which was born yesterday, its spinal cord need not be the perfect spinal cord. Because how the child is there in the mother's womb, depending on that, the spinal cord gets distorted. So it is not in the perfect way, and the position of the child shapes the spinal cord of the child. In America, there is one medical practice called chiropractic. They say by correcting the position of the spinal cord, we can cure any sickness. So they put the patient on the table and there's a small plate. They just remove this one and press this side, then remove another plate, press that side, and by the time you get relief. I also underwent there. But that time it is okay, but later again the pain will come. So the point is, when people say that I am all right, I am okay, it shows that they are not experiencing any pain, any discomfort. That doesn't mean that they are 100% perfectly good health. Okay. Then spiritually also, how often we have the revengeful attitude, we are not able to forgive others, we are not able to experience God's forgiveness, and above all, how often we lose the sense of meaning, sense of purpose in life, and how often we discourage others, how often we become the instrument in removing the meaning from the lives of the others. These are all showing that we are somehow spiritually sick. And emotionally, of course, when we do not know how to deal with our emotions, obvious that we are emotionally sick. Today, the world of psychology speaks so much about the emotional intelligence, and EQ. What's the EQ? Emergency quota. EQ is emotional quotient. If you are not having real emotional quotient, we will be ending up in emergency quota. So, how to deal with emotions? Unfortunately, today the school does not teach us how to deal with the emotions to the students. We teach the students how to sing, how to draw, how to run, how to read, how to write, but we do not know how to teach how to deal with the emotions in their lives. Oftentimes, the children are left to learn from their parents, and unfortunately, not all the parents are emotionally intelligent. If the father is having some trouble in the office with the boss, he shows that anger at home upon his wife. When the mother is angry with the father, he shows that on the child. So the child thinks if you are not happy with someone who is above you, or someone whom you think very powerful, more powerful than you cannot show that anger in a very comfortable, acceptable, agreeable manner. Rather, show that anger on someone who is lower, inferior to you. So when the child is angry with the parents, it shows anger on the puppy, dog, or punching the pillow and so on. So this is how they are trained, unfortunately, the wrong ways of dealing with emotions. And today, whether we are married or in the religious circles, religious men, women, priests, we all have our own emotional problems because very often we are not experts in how to deal with the emotions in spite of our long training period in the religious life for sisters or priests and so on. So this emotional intelligence is very, very essential. Daniel Goleman, he was the pioneer in speaking about the emotional intelligence, and he says the invisible emotions determine the visible actions of our life. The invisible emotions determine the visible actions of our life. He gives the example of iceberg. Iceberg, big ice rocks floating in the polar regions on the ocean. Only 1/10 of the iceberg rock will be seen above the surface of the sea. The 90% of the rock will be hidden underneath the surface. So what we are seeing is only the external words and actions, but all these things are determined by the invisible emotions. Therefore, we need to be emotionally intelligent. Therefore, to cut the long story short, we are all sick in some way or the other. We must be thinking on this beautiful day when Father celebrates his ordination anniversary. Father has made everybody sick. We are all sick in a good sense, in the sense so that we may experience the healing from Jesus. And curing an illness is different from healing an illness. We all need healing from the physician, the greatest physician, Jesus Christ, so that we may become emotionally, spiritually, and physically well, holistic beings. Let's think about it today. Amen.